Welcome to this week's edition of Pit Stop with me, Jaco from Merwe. I'm joined by Mark Jones and Charl Bosch. Last week, big news out of Europe. VW rolled out the Golf 8.5 Clubsport. Just straight off the bat, quick as you can. Why is this big? Why is this GTI Clubsport? Sorry. Why is this huge?
Well, what we're seeing here, this is potentially the last special edition combustion engine Golf. As we all know, the Golf is 50 years old this year. The Mark 9, which is coming out reportedly in 2026, is going to be electric, fully electric, no combustion engines being offered. So this, the 8.5, which is an updated version of the Golf 8, could potentially be the final combustion engine performance GTI that you can buy.
That's pretty huge. Mark, did you see this day coming in your lifetime? A GTI without an internal combustion engine?
Well, talking about lifetime, I'm a little shocked to admit that Golf is 50 years old. I mean, are you kidding me? I remember them as a kid, so kind of dinosaur age here for me.
You mean when you made that big step going from the Beetle to the Golf?
Yeah, remember that? That says everything.
Exactly. So, these are strange numbers we're talking about. Yeah, listen, I mean, we are getting prepared for electric cars. So, to have an all-electric GTI, it really goes against the grain of what GTI is, but it is where the manufacturers are going in terms of electrification. I would maybe like to see, as a bit of a purist, a petrol-based engine, combustion-based engine with a bit of electrical assistance, a la BMW M, Merc, AMG, but probably not going to happen. All electric, and that's going to be pretty sad. But hopefully, like they do already, they'll pipe in all the right noises into the cabin. So you'll think you're on the Nürburgring flat out. Meanwhile, on the outside, it's silent. And I guess that'll work for a lot of people.
Charl, this 8.5 Clubsport, let me just see if I get all the facts right. It is pretty confusing. So
Not really, no.
It hasn't been confirmed, obviously, for South Africa yet. But there are in-between models that hasn't also not been confirmed. What we're getting, we're not quite sure. So just a little quick breakdown. We got the Golf 8 GTI,
yes,
which makes same 4-cylinder 2-litre engine, makes 180 kilowatt. Ones we haven't had yet, this is the third one now, the 8.5 Clubsport, is the 8 Clubsport that made 221.
Yes.
And then an 8.5 standard GTI came out, which made 195.
Yes.
Which we also didn't get.
No.
And now the new 8.5 Clubsport's making 221.
Yes.
And so, am I correct with those numbers?
That's absolutely correct. So the Golf 8, what VW did was a similar tactic with the Golf 7. As part of the midlife facelift, they just added, instead of calling it 8 or 9 or whatever, they called it 0.5, sort of a halfway in between. So Golf 7 became Golf 7.5. Now we have Golf 8, which was completely brand new, and now in its facelift format or configuration, which is not yet available in South Africa, that's not been confirmed, is now called Golf 8.5. And the Clubsport, the new Clubsport, is now Golf 8.5 GTI Clubsport.
Exterior differences, very little.
Very subtle.
It's wheels.
It's very, very subtle. The main thing they did was, and I'm talking about the standard Golf 8.5, is they focused a lot on the interior because it was, without being rude, it was awful. The infotainment system was terrible. The software was one of the reasons the Golf 8 was so badly delayed when it came, because it was crashing left, right, and center. So it's got a brand new infotainment system. It's got a brand new interface. They call it MIB4, the new interface software. It's got illuminated touch sliders for infotainment system. It's got a bunch of upgraded materials and so on. So that forms part of the Golf 8.5. Then in other countries you get normal petrol and diesel and so on, which we'll never get because we've never had the standard Golf 8 here available. So that's basically it. I will say that we know that there's a Golf R still coming, the Golf 8.5 R. So that could well be the most powerful combustion engine Golf that will ever made, but for now we're just talking of the context of GTI. We're not talking about R. This is full-on GTI, most powerful, possibly final combustion engine GTI.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is the 8.5 available in right-hand drive already?
Yes.
So this is a decision, obviously a conscious decision by VW South Africa, not to bring it. I mean, that in itself is a bit weird. I mean, I can only assume it's because 8 hasn't really done well. I mean, it was seen as a soft GTR. It lacked a bit of personality, and of course, it was pricey.
Very.
So it really didn't resonate like I think everybody thought it would. And I mean, I guess that scared VW South Africa away from bringing 8.5 when I think the sales are going to be quite dismal.
I probably think so. I mean, we've driven the GTI, we've driven the 8 GTI, and it really wasn't that impressive. It lacked, when you compare it to a Mark 7.5, for instance, which I think we all love. It was one of our favorite GTIs. It was the first one I drove. So we'll have to wait and see. It's the same with the Golf R, because that fell just as flat completely. So the other side of the coin is, if you look at the GTI name, we all know the GTI name in this country. If it's a GTI, it will sell. It doesn't matter if the performance is not good. It doesn't matter anything. If it's a GTI, it will sell. So I'm guessing it will probably become available, because that's one of the reasons VW never ever brought the standard Golf 8. They were going to bring it, and then at the last minute they thought, we're just going to bring the GTI and the R. So I think they're probably going to stick with it with the Golf 8.5, GTI and R. Maybe bring the Clubsport, because there was previous Clubsports, the 7 and the 7.5 had the Clubsport, and the Clubsport S were available here. But we don't know yet. We will see what's going to happen. But I suspect it will probably become available at some stage, because now with 195 kilowatts in the normal GTI and the 8.5 GTI, maybe that could be the difference. Maybe that they will resurrect it like what the Golf 8 with the Golf 5 did. But we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, of course, we can only speculate up until whatever we hear from VW on that front. But speaking of this 50-year Golf anniversary, to think the first Golf was, rolled out in 1974.
Yeah.
We all have our own golf memories. I've got less successful memories on the golf course than I have in an actual golf. But starting with you, Charl, each one of us, what springs to mind, your favorite moment or memory from a golf?
Well, apart from driving it, when I remember when the Golf 5 GTI came out, that was just the most incredible thing. We were all drooling about the GTI Mark 5. It was the best at that stage. But since I came that was well before I came into the industry. So my first experience was in 2017, and it was a Golf 7.5 GTI, and that remains one of my best experiences ever. It just felt absolutely complete. I drove a Golf R after that, but the R, and this is going to sound strange, fell flat for me. That GTI was just absolutely perfect. So Mark 7.5 GTI, probably my best experience of a GTI ever.
Mark, yours?
Yeah, mine's a little less advanced and slightly sort of old school, just because that's what it is. But my memory is in 1983, I was a car mad enthusiast and used to chase the numbers those days in Car Magazine.
Yeah.
And my father decided that he needed to have a Golf, and he bought a brand new red Golf GTI in 83 out of Lindsay Saker in Johannesburg, and you saw this thing come out, and it was like, wow, 82 kilowatts of hot hatch. It was the start of the hot hatch. It was like nothing was fast. 82 kilowatts. I think the current Golf R's air conditioner makes 82 kilowatts.
Potentially.
It was just, for me as a young kid, it was a wow moment, and then they ran the numbers, and it was like a giant killer. Those days, you must remember, old Cortina 3-litre S's and XR6s and stuff were really for the mana. But here came this little Golf and really cleaned them up. So that, for me, my moment.
It was a Mark 1. Yeah, it was a Mark 1. You can't beat a Mark 1 GTI.
No, listen, I'm going to enter there. Exactly the same with me. My first one, my late father bought me as my first car. It was a magnificently repainted red 1978 GTS.
Wow.
Automatic, because my old man was of the opinion that a lighty shouldn't be, windgat and revving his car all over. Automatic, 3 gears forward.
3-speed.
I drove from East London to Bosch at Varsity with that thing. No electronics whatsoever. Even the clock was analog.
Yep.
But just by gauging the exact mole of that fuel gauge, I could tell you how many litres it would take to fill up. When I'm outside Queenstown, I know I have to put in about 15 litres at probably 80 cents a litre. just to reach
Our
East
times have
London.
changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, that's it from us this week. Thank you for listening to a Pit Stop podcast. We'll keep you up to date as soon as we hear anything from VW. If you like this podcast, please go and like it. You can share it or decide to follow the Citizen News' YouTube channel. Thank you very much for listening. Cheers.